mysteries of 2018. So I always do a separate video for my favorite mysteries because I think it is a fairly different reading experience. And I will just get right into the books. First on the list, and there are several by this author, is Touch Not the Cat by Mary Stewart. This was one that kind of plodded along for the first third, and then things really picked up, and then by the end of the book it was just a new favorite Mary Stewart for me. I found this one to be a really neat one that really wanted to know the secrets of a particular house and you know, get acquainted with a new house, and it was just a really unique to the other ones, and I thoroughly enjoyed it and really recommend it. Then on the list is an Elizabeth George. Oh, I love her books so very much, and it is For the Sake of Elena. This is one that I finished last January, and I can still remember it so vividly. It takes place in a college town, and there is a girl named Elena who is deaf and is murdered. And it really takes a lot of digging for them to get kind of to the facts of the matter and what happened in this case exactly. It was so gripping, and you just peel back the layers of each of these characters. And of course there's personal stuff happening with our main characters, and just such a poignant series. I love it so much. Then on a much lighter note is Thorny Hold by Mary Stewart. This is by far her most humor-filled one, I would say, where Gilly is the main character, and she moves into an old house, and people in the town all know about her because of family that used to be there. And there's rumors that there are witches in the town, but it's just a very like quirky feeling Mary Stewart, and just so unique, and it was just so much fun. I wasn't expecting it to be as quirky as it was, but I didn't care. It was very enjoyable. Then next on the list is The Magpie Murders by Anthony Horowitz. This is a really wonderful mystery, and it is a mystery within a mystery. It starts out where you're hearing about this mystery author who writes detective fiction, and he goes missing all of a sudden. We don't know where he's gone to. And so while we've gotten kind of the lowdown on that part, we're introduced to that part of the story, then we're taken into the plot of his latest mystery book. So you get a 2-for-1 in this book, and it was just very cleverly done. Anthony Horowitz has a new book out called The Word is Murder, which is the first in his new detective series, and I really want to read it. So hopefully I will sooner rather than later. And then next on the list is This Rough Magic, yet another Mary Stewart. This is also a new favorite. It takes place on the island of Capri, and that's a lie, not Capri, Corfu. And the main character is there vacationing with her sister and kind of stumbles upon this smuggling plot, and she's just very scrappy. She just is so brave and is willing to kind of investigate these sinister things that have been going on. She finds a body on the beach, and she wants to get to the bottom of it and kind of have justice happen. So yeah, definitely enjoyable. And then next is The Dry by Jane Harper. This is really teetering between crime and thriller, but it is set in this small Australian town, and there's a drought that's currently happening, and then there's a really sinister crime that happens. And so our sleuth comes back to his hometown to investigate what happened, and there's all sorts of baggage that's going to come up, and you know, things that happened in the past are affecting what happened in this case now. And so he has to investigate it, and just the tension building on this was phenomenal. Then there was Wildfire at Midnight. I think that's the last Mary Stewart on the list. And Wildfire at Midnight is in Scotland, and so I was really happy. There was one other Mary Stewart set in Scotland that I didn't enjoy nearly as much, but I was happy to have a Mary Stewart that I really enjoyed. And this is a woman just wants to get away for a little while, so she stays in this little kind of bed and breakfast, and ends up running into her ex-husband, who she really wasn't hoping to run into. And then two of the women who are staying at the bed and breakfast go missing, and things really spiral from there, and the pace really picks up. And it was just a really good, dark and gritty Mary Stewart, but a really good one nonetheless. Then Peril at End House by Agatha Christie. I think I only read 3 Poirot this year. I think that's right. How did that happen? Well, I only read 3 this year, and unfortunately 2 of them, The Big Four and The Mystery of the Blue Train, I did not enjoy. And as soon as I say that, I think that's why I only read 3, because I really didn't feel motivated after those 2 ones that I didn't enjoy. So then I'm really glad I finally got to Peril at End House, and it was so much better. But it's about this woman who has all of these near misses, and Poirot is on vacation and meets her and wants to find out what happened, or what is happening, what's going to happen. He really thinks something bad is about to happen. So yes, it was just a really fascinating one with twists and turns like Agatha Christie likes to do, and I definitely recommend it. Next was A Lesson in Secrets by Jacqueline Winspear. This is in the Maisie Dobbs series. I can't remember what number it is. They all start to, the numbers, it's really hard to keep track of them. But in this one, Maisie goes undercover at a university. So that was a really different, her going undercover in a university felt really different and distinct from all the other books. And so I think that was part of what made me like it, but also I just love this series so much. And there's the progression of the characters, all those side characters, and Maisie herself, just makes it one of my favorite series out there. It just has a real, it also has a real melancholy kind of atmosphere to it, but it's a really sad time in the world. So it works very well for the series, and it feels really authentic. Then the Mitford Murders by Jessica Fellowes. This is a historical mystery where a murder takes place on a train, and it involves the Mitford family. Our main character ends up being the nanny to this family, and Nancy, the eldest, is a teenager, so she's more a peer with Nancy than with the rest of the children. But I think it's the start of a new great series, and I'm really looking forward to reading it. Then 2 Her Royal Spyness books, Naughty and Niece and the 12 Clues of Christmas. This is just getting better and better as the books go along, and things just really got taken up a couple notches in Naughty and Niece and the 12 Clues of Christmas. Georgie travels to Nice and ends up, all of the side characters just kind of magically appear in this place that she's traveled to. And then the same thing for the 12 Clues of Christmas. In Naughty and Niece, she goes there because the Queen has a missing snuff box that was one of her favorites and wants Georgie to retrieve it. But then while she's there, a murder ends up ensuing, and so Georgie has to help solve the case. And in the 12 Clues of Christmas, Georgie's going to be stuck in Scotland with her relatives who really aren't happy that she's there. And so she ends up taking a job. She gets paid to be a hostess at this English Christmas kind of retreat that the host is wanting to give, where she can attract, Americans wanting to come to an authentic English Christmas. And again, magically all the side characters are there, but it's a very over-the-top series, and I love it though. So I'm okay with it, being kind of contrived. And then Murder is Bad Manners. This is one that I only just finished. I actually have it right here, so I'll hold it up. This is by Robin Stevens, and the UK title is Murder Most Unladylike. I don't know why they couldn't just keep the UK title, but anyhow, this takes place at Deep Dean boarding school, and the main characters are Hazel and Daisy, and one of the teachers at the boarding school ends up being found dead. But then one of the girls finds the body, and then she, tells people that it's been found and gets a teacher to come with her, and when she gets back, the body is gone. It's not there. And so everyone then is acting like everything's okay, nothing is wrong. And I just really enjoyed this. It was fun. It had a really lively dynamic to it. And it was just such easy reading, and I'm definitely looking forward to carrying on with the series. The boarding school element was really fun, just talking about going to different classes and having a bun break, and sometimes they do midnight feasts, and so just little touches like that are things that make me want to continue on in a mystery series. Next is The Silent World of Nicholas Quinn by Colin Dexter. This is the third in his Inspector Morse series, and it's kind of a police procedural type series, and this was my favorite thus far. I can't quite put my finger on, why I really enjoyed this series so much. I just know I'm very compelled to keep turning pages when I'm reading. He just has a very kind of electric writing style, and the dialogue is just so witty. And in this one, there is a deaf employee at this office who there were some politics involved with him getting hired. Some people thought they were pandering when they hired him, and others just thought he would be good for the job. So it's a complicated mess that Inspector Morse has to figure out. The misogyny is really obnoxious, I will say, because this is written in the 60s, the end of the 60s or the early 70s. But just like Inspector Morse doing things like calling female suspects a tart, it's just like really ridiculous. And nowadays it seems extra ridiculous. So just know that going in, if that's going to ruin a book for you, you won't enjoy this. But I'm able to kind of just like move on past that and then enjoy the rest of the book. And then lastly, an Inspector Gamache series Inspector Gamache book that I just finished was A Great Reckoning. And this one was the heaviest so far in the book. It had some really, really heavy things in it. Inspector Gamache kind of gets to more of what's been kind of the stink, the corruption in the police department. He gets to more of the cause of it. And never in my wildest dreams could I have imagined, kind of the scale. And finding out what is going on is not found out without great cost. So it's just, I feel these books very deeply. And I just, Armand Gamache, like I say, every time I talk about these books, is such a good man. So I love this series so much. It's a really heavy one. I'm going to wait a few months before going on to the next one. Just some really tough things that happened in it, but I don't think they're gratuitous. It really did seemed to be in line with the previous plots of the books, but I would say it's very intense, but worthwhile if you do like more intense type mysteries. So those are my favorite mysteries of the year. I can't wait to hear about what your favorite mysteries of the year were, and I can't wait, just to continue reading mysteries and talking to you all about them. So I am going to be taking a internet break in January. So I will be back on the 25th with my video on the first two in the Betsy Tacy series that I read. So not quite a full month, but I just figured I wanted to get these videos up. So I'm sorry if I don't respond to your comments. And yes, I think that's everything I had to say. And I will be back for a video at the end of January.